Hi everyone, my name is Don Christy and we are on the Vogue on GMA Christian TV, where we'll be talking about a lot of things that are in vogue, and we're going to be starting from the basics, shall we? So basically, to sum it up, it's going to be talking about emotions. Yes, emotions. So while growing up, we experienced a lot of changes in our growth and a lot of other things, but majorly our emotions, because you don't just hit puberty stage and land run and everything changes in your body, and not just your body, your mind as well. And your mind happens to be where your emotions are. So we naturally describe emotions as those things you feel on the inside. Sometimes you voice them out, sometimes you don't. Decisions are up to you actually. You decide on what you want to do. But we cannot deny the fact that emotions are in play in more than 50% of our life, especially when it comes to decisions. So we have different reasons why we act the way we do, and that comes to our temperament. We talk about the sanguine, the choleric, the phlegmatic, the melancholy, and we are aware that not everyone has just one character trait. It could be a blend of two, could be a blend of more, and very rarely do you have people that have a blend of four. So the sanguine is usually lively, talky, everywhere, up and down, the jive, groove of the party. I'm sure as you're listening to this, you're probably placing yourself where you should be, so that's good. The choleric, it's a bit more, will I say instructive? What's the word? Administrative, more, I won't say judgmental, but this person tends to take more decisions, has leadership traits and personalities, is less in touch with their feelings. You would say this person is less emotional, but I would just say that person has a better way of masking their emotions. You have the melancholy, that person is your natural artistic person, in love with the arts, very open to emotions. But one thing that they do is they bottle up feelings until it gets to here before they actually pour it out. Then you also have your phlegmatic. That's your passive aggressive kind of person. They are very good listeners. They are very good psychologists, very good guidance counselors, and a lot of other things. So looking at all these temperaments, we want to bring them en route back to what they have to do with our emotions. Like I said initially, we do a lot of things with our emotions, make a lot of decisions with our emotions, and there is no day that passes by that would not involve our emotions. Now, another thing I would love to bring before we continue is that there are some parts of you deem as emotional, and there are some you deem as not emotional. Everything is emotional. The fact you're angry at this point in time and happy at the next doesn't mean you are more emotional at one point and less emotional at the next. Everything is emotions, but what makes you seem more responsible is how well you can control these emotions. So your sanguine is emotional, yeah. They tend to cry a lot, even down to the most romantic of movies. Yes, I happen to be one of the character traits, and trust me, you don't want to watch a movie with me. You don't want to watch a movie with me because it can be quite tearful. Yeah, I try to run to the bathroom and hide to hide all that, but it happens. So while growing up, sanguines naturally tend to, I won't say, they look like they have all the confidence. Yeah, they manage their emotions well. They they are truthful to some point, funny enough. So when making decisions, they make decisions with all of their emotions intact. They just maybe they're walking past a store and they see something and they just feel like, oh, I need to buy this. It's not like they need it. They don't necessarily need it. But they make a decision at that point in time to buy it because they feel like it. I won't say that's the best way to make decisions, but that's what a sanguine naturally would do. Now, your choleric would sit down and think. Your choleric will rather have a 50% chance of getting something right and go for that 50%, even though there's a 50% chance of failing. That's your choleric for you. As long as there is a possibility that that risk can be a good one, they will take it. They are prone to be less emotional. We acknowledge that. And sometimes they seem like stone cold. I read this book by Tim LaHaye, Why You Act the Way You Do, and he said something. Someone described a choleric in her own point of view in that book, and she said, um, kissing a choleric husband, which she had, is like kissing a statue on a cold winter morning. That was what she described. That description alone makes you look at it as they're so emotionless, but that's not true. We'll come to that part later. So your melancholy is very emotional. Your melancholy is very, very emotional. Your melancholy will look at all the critical points of decision making before taking a decision. Your melancholy most times does not take decisions out of impulse. They are usually the masterminds of your projects. Your cholerics are the ones that deliver the project, but the people that plan it, they look at all the loopholes and everything are your choleric. Sorry, your melancholy rather. So your melancholy would rather sit and table it down step by step how it's going to go. Know the do's and don'ts, the risks and the ones that are not risks before making any decision. They are very emotional. They are very attached. And when they are angry, they can be very, very that's the only way I can describe it. It can be very, very mind blowing, especially when they have piled it and piled it and piled it and piled it and just poof everywhere. It can be very alarming. So that's your melancholy. Your phlegmatic, on the other hand, they seem passive. They seem like they don't care. But in reality, they actually do. They don't wear their emotions on their sleeve. But from the little talks and conversations, you can deduce what they are talking about. Now, I explained all this to have you look at yourself and how you behave. I will use myself as a case study. I have a sort of temperamental blend of sanguine melancholy and choleric at one side. Um, Most times I don't keep quiet. Yes, let me be honest, I don't keep quiet. So you're going to be having more of me talking in this talk show. So I talk a lot. I wear my emotions on the sleeve. I am an open book, literally. And sometimes I get that fear, which is based on my emotions, that people take advantage of that. And that's naturally what something should someone should be afraid of. So I get that fear and I look at the whole situation and sometimes I choose not to make friends. Not like I cannot make friends. I can be the life of the party if I want to. I can be outgoing, I can be social, I can be loud. Yes, I know I can be loud. But a part of me, owing to my melancholic nature and the emotions that I have in me, wants something or someone or people I can trust, people I can be confident about, because I would bear myself open to you. Naturally, that's who I am because of the temperament blend I have. But the minute you give me a reason to not trust you, that's the end of it. I can be as harsh as a choleric when that happens. So that's me giving myself as an example. So look at yourself and ask yourself those questions. Yes, this is not the complete, let's say, explanation of what temperaments and emotions have to do, being as they are intertwined. But I would suggest you read the book by Tim LaHaye, Why You Act the Way You Do by Tim LaHaye. It's a short book. You can read it, you will understand more. And another thing, if you want to further it up by reading Spirit Based Temperaments, still by Tim LaHaye. Tim LaHaye. You can Google him up online. Tim, Tim LaHaye, LaHaye. So you spirit-based temperaments, why you act the way you do, but start with why you act the way you do. It will actually explain more. So, like I was saying, you look at yourself based on these temperament traits and ask yourself, why do you act the way you do? Growing up, a lot of emotions were mixed in our growing up. Fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, decisions to make, the realization that adulthood is scam. Yes, adulthood is serious scam. You know, we all grew up hoping that we want to be adults so we can get to do what we want to do. We want to go where we want to go. Want to have that extra meat in the pot. That one that's our own. Yes, but growing up made you realize that there's a lot more to it than just what you hoped for then. A lot of things had to change. And your emotions are one of the major things that have to change. I'm emphasizing on it because if you do not know how to balance and deal with your emotions, you could make very costly mistakes and decisions that would actually reflect in the long term run. It could be short term, it could be long term, but who knows? Would you rather leave that fate to the goddesses, according to what you would describe, to decide what it would be, or would you leave it to life to play out what your life is going to look like? So, what your emotions are determine how well you can make decisions that will best influence your life. I made a couple of bad mistakes. Yeah, everybody makes mistakes. And how you manage your emotions well when you make that mistake determines how far you can go. Some people make mistakes and they lay down on the ground. Yes, I was once at that point where I would make a mistake and I would beat myself up all the time about it. Guilt would eat me up and it was hell, if I was to put it that way. It was hell. But I came in contact with my father, as I'll fondly call him, not my biological father though, but yes, I call him my father, Pastor Lawrence Onoche, and he helped me realize who I should be. He pointed me in the right direction. He gave me books. He helped me study, and because I was willing to learn, I was able to understand and then properly harness and control my emotions to give me the best outputs. How you respond to being chastised, how you respond to what life throws at you, the locus of control, if I'm to put it that way. Whether you blame the outsiders first or you blame yourself first for not being able to handle the situation properly. A lot of things are tied down to your emotions. Your emotions are very important. The Bible even says you are beautifully and fearfully made. Fear is an emotion. Beauty is an abstract noun, of course, naturally, you would know that. So, fear is an emotion. Why would the Bible specifically say beautifully and fearfully? Why did they emphasize on your physique and your emotions? It shows how important the emotions are to the everyday life of a human being. You wake up in the morning, you feel down. Naturally, you gravitate towards colors that are dull because you feel down. Those are your emotions playing out. But one thing that people fail to realize is that when they feel down, if they wear bright colors, it actually tends to affect their mood for the day. It might seem very insignificant, but it's psychology. You can Google it out and check. So you wear bright colors on a day you're feeling gloomy, and you just realize that you all of a sudden start feeling bright. But the minute you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you wear gloomy colors and you eat one gross meal, if I'm to put it that way, and then you go to work, your boss starts firing up here, left, right, and center, and it feels like the whole world is coming down on you. Funny enough, if you look at it at the end of the day, it's your emotions. It might have just been a normal day, but because of the way you woke up, your emotions determine how your day went, and you didn't get fulfilled for that day. A lot of us carry the past guilt and burden into our everyday. And that's not right because you're not just hurting the people around you, you're hurting yourself. Mistakes have been made. The question is, have you learned from those mistakes? Have you grown? Do you know what you should do next? If you're presented with that situation, would you be able to handle it better? How best would you have been able to do it if you were given a chance to replay that part of your life again? Learn from it. Take the important parts. Like my father would say, take the important parts and drop the rest. When someone chastises you, yeah, of course, the natural thing is to play defensive. Of course, nobody wants to be seen as a bad person. Everybody has a reason to do what they do. There's always an excuse for everything, always an excuse, even for being rude to the person next door, for not responding to a greeting from your neighbor, from a lot of things. There's an excuse. And like my father would fondly say, anything you want to do in this world, you would find an excuse or a reason to do it, even down to the Bible. You would see it there for every single thing you want to do. There will always be something you can hold to claim that it's a reason you do what you do. But you know what's right, you know what's wrong, you know how best you can handle situations, how best you can do it better. But your choice is what matters. Will you just flow with your emotions, or will you really sit down and think and ask yourself, is this the best thing to do? Let me give an instance. I had an issue with my uniform code last week and I spiraled out. This was just last week. I spiraled out badly, like I was overthinking. Natural trait for a melancholy, they overthink things. So I was overthinking, and in the process of overthinking, I became so emotional. I cried till 2 a.m. Yes, I cried till 2 a.m. and I couldn't take it anymore. I had to reach out to my dad and I told him what happened. He didn't cuddle me, pet me. He did that just for, let's say, 2 seconds. And then he rained everything down on me because, of course, naturally, you have to take responsibility for your actions. You are responsible for why you act the way you do and the outcome of your life. So he explained to me that this fallout I had with my uniform code, because I was chastised, he said it was not necessarily because the person hated me. Because it's natural for people when they are chastised or when something happens to feel that it's them that they're being chastised, that they are hated for that. They feel, okay, this chastisement is not at the character, it's at me. And they tend to gradually resent that person. So that was what happened. And I felt like that's where it was getting to. And I didn't want to have to carry anybody in my heart. So I told my father about it and he broke it down for me. He explained it to me. So I had this opportunity this week to talk to my uniform code, and I almost misunderstood him again based on emotions. But then I remember what my father said. He was like, don't take a decision based on your emotions. You calm down, you relax, you think. Or you even still, you don't have to think about it at that point in time. Take a walk, listen to music, engross yourself in something. Then after like 5, 10, 15 minutes, come back to that thing and then ask yourself, okay, what's the best decision to take? So I happened to do that. And a relationship that I had with my uniform code that would have almost fallen out totally was restored. Funny enough, prior to that fallout, I had a dream that I and this guy was going to have issues. I had a dream. I took it for like, I took it for granted, literally. It happened that way. So this fallout that I almost had with my uniform code was drastically saved because I chose to listen to the advice of someone that's far advanced in me in age that explained what my emotions were doing to me. Whether we like to admit it or not, emotions are actually a vital part of our everyday life. You go back to the ones you love at home, your emotions are at play. A lot of things are at play with your emotions. But how best do you handle them? Give yourself that thought. And don't forget to read up on the books I asked you to read up on. They will help you understand yourself much more, give you a reason to take more responsibility for why you act the way you do, and help you to make better decisions. Thank you. Have a lovely day.